There you go, and let's get suited.
Right, girls, you ready to go?
Yeah. Just behind us?
Just behind you, should be right over the wreck.
Okay. Welcome back to Bailiwick and Guernsey Shipwrecks. I'm JP Falaise, and you're going to join me on a dive down to a shipwreck in 50 metres of water. My dive buddy today is Molly, or Martin Gian, and we're going to head down this 50 metres. So 50 metres, how far is that? Well, it's the same size as an Olympic-sized swimming pool or 2 tennis courts. It's quite hard to visualise when it's laying down, so something that's standing up, Nelson's column, or a 14-storey building. So it's fairly deep, and for the Americans out there, it's 164 feet, and half an inch. So it looks like our shot has hit right into the wreck, right in front of the donkey boiler here. This is exactly where we wanted, because on this dive I'm going to concentrate around the stern area. So that's from this donkey boiler, which would have been the sort of rear of the accommodation on the back. Cool, look at them, jewel anemones, really bright, almost hurt my eyes. They're pretty cool. I haven't really seen jewel anemones on these shipwrecks before. Even this has got some sort of anemones on, some white anemones. This is the donkey boiler, so this boiler would have been the one that was running whilst they're in port. There's some more here. They're crazy, they're like something out of Avatar. There's a little starfish on the edge here, clinging on for his life. So me and Molly's done our dive plan, and we are going to go around the stern area and we're going to take a look at the propeller. So when this ship went aground, they stated that it run over the top of a rock, and the propeller was pretty much minced up on the rock, and then it slipped off later, then sunk in an unknown location, which now is here, so we now know. So first thing we do is come down. Paul is already down here on the wreck, you can see him, and the visibility is absolutely perfect today, the best probably I've seen, and well, the best I've seen. 44 metres of water, and it feels like we're in 20 metres. Always check my air, make sure I've got air, and it's also a good indicator if my gauge hasn't moved at all. That could mean my manifold's closed, and I'm wearing a twin set, so there's the manifold is the valve that's in between them. So we're swimming down the starboard side of the boat now. As you look down, these ribs on the bottom were the side of the boat at one time, and this large boiler was nestled right in the middle of the ship, and you can see the side of the boat's fallen away, just where Paul is. And look at the size of this engine. This is a triple expansion engine. Molly looks pretty small next to it, to be honest. And this is the boiler in front. It's 10 foot long, 14 foot 6 diameter, and it runs at 180 pounds per square inch. I got all the details for this off the back of the photograph when I contacted the archive to get an image. So there's plenty of weird looking objects around here. I'm not quite sure what they do. There's some sort of pump. I'm not quite sure what that does, maybe some sort of bilge, I'm not sure. And also the engine. So this is a large triple expansion, starting off with the high pressure towards the boiler, reducing down in pressure, so the cylinders are getting larger towards the back. So this engine bay is not as clean as it used to be, and there's a lot of old stuff down here. There's a big wheel here. It's the first time I've actually noticed that. And it looks like there's been some damage recently. I don't know if something's fallen off, but you can see some clean black pipes. Unfortunately it's been damaged, but this thing is slowly decaying, and as you can see, the whole back is slid off onto the seabed, pretty much the same as the bow area, so it's fallen to the north and everything's basically just slidden off. So now we're back to the extreme stern, and Molly's just pointing out here, this was the old rudder post. The rudder connected to it, the rudder's now snapped off. Potentially it snapped off when it hit the rocks, because I can't see it in any of the immediate areas. And where he's shining his torch now is where the propeller is. So as you can see, there's basically just a hob left. Looking right out back from the stern area, plenty of debris, probably been pulled off by fishing boats. Even that's had a bit of damage, because that's now kinked over to the north. Never used to be. But look at the debris out here. That's a hatch combing, never seen that before. And even if you look even further, there's some more wreckage out there, so probably another deck combing. I've never seen all that wreckage. The visibility, we are definitely being spoilt today. This part I've seen before, and this is the rear part of what would have been above where the steering is, that rudder post. So that would have been the curved part on the underside. So I'm just going to try and get Molly to shine his torch now on the hob of where the propeller was. I'm sure this went down stern first, looking at the debris field, and also you can see it's almost as if the drive shaft has been pushed into the hull of the boat. So it's actually in quite a bad mess. So this is probably a bronze hub, I would have thought. At one time it would have been a four-bladed, and you can see there where all the plating's been pushed in. Four blades, one there. This one is the most pronounced one. There's one there, and then also to the left, which is sheared right off, and then also to the right. So somewhere there's some big blades of a propeller. Not quite sure where. Just to show you the scale of it, this is me compared to it. No, I think that light's a bit too bright. I think I might have to turn one of the lights off. My face will look like a ghost. There we go, that's better. Pretty big. It's now covered in some sort of anemone. And this is what's left of the rudder post. There would have been a big quadrant on the top of that, steering quadrant. So now it's time for us to explore inside. And Molly's after you. I don't think I'm actually going to be going in there. Have a quick check of the air, 170, loads of air left. And quick check my total time to surface, 9 minutes, so that's good. So I'm waiting until there's about 20 minutes, then we'll start heading back up. All this area would have been to the stern of the engine, in the engine bay, and these engines are actually pretty big. Have a little look inside. There's probably a maker's badge or something around here somewhere on the floor that's fallen off. I'm not going to go looking for it. If I find it, I find it, but if I don't, I don't. So this is the bottom of the piston, the low pressure piston, which is the one on the end, the larger one. So that would have had a stroke as well, because this boat was pretty quick for its time, 11.5 knots. That's what it gained on its trial trip anyway. So now we're looking down into where still the engine bay. I'm not quite sure what any of that stuff is. Bits of pipes and all sorts laying everywhere. Coming back, these are the pistons. Well, these aren't the pistons, these are the jackets the pistons are in. So in effect these are the cylinders. So there's the larger one, and then they go in increments of size depending on pressure. So the smallest one's underneath that, and then the intermediate, and then the low pressures on the end. The fact that there's 3 cylinders doesn't mean that's this triple expansion. Basically the Titanic had 4 cylinders, but that was still a triple expansion engine. I can see a crab pot. It's got to be 20 metres away. Seems to be a lot of pelt on this wreck today. I still can't get over the visibility. It's absolutely stunning. The clarity of the water is amazing at the moment. I feel like I'm roughly halfway through my dive. I'm on a twin 12 and Molly's on a single 15, so I just check how much air he's got. Molly's actually got as much air as I have. There's Paul and Matt just having a little look having a rummage down there in the wreckage, see if they can see anything. I'm just going to pan away now and just so I can get a bit of scale, because the visibility is never this good. So I want some shots quite far away. Gives a nice bit of scale, especially when you've got 3 divers swimming around as well. You can see here, because it was a cargo ship and there was a hold fore and aft, basically these things just turn into wet boxes when they're under the water. There's no lateral support inside, there's no bulkheads, it's just one large open hold. So what happens is the tide over time just pushes it apart and the sides fall out. That's exactly what you see here. So the area here you see is the coal bunker, and there's actually still a load of coal in the bottom of that coal bunker, and that would have been fed into the front of these boilers, both boilers, so the large main boiler which Molly's looking at now, and also the left donkey boiler. There's loads of bits of fishing gear left on it, there's bits of pipes that have been ripped off and just general carnage. Basically it's 100 years old, so 2 died today for 100 years, that's 36,525, times up by 2, 73,000, just over 73,000 tides have washed past this, and it is pretty strong tide as well. So look at this, there's like threaded parts and little tiny bits of, I don't know what it is, steam whistle, valves, pressure release valves, something like that. Oh, we're going to say goodbye to Matt and Paul. They're on their way up, their time's come to an end. Talking about valves and pressure release valves and stuff, this is what I'm guessing this thing is. You can't really tell because all the growth that's on it now. Not quite sure what it is. Can't tell. Gonna do a very quick assessment in my head now and see if I should go deeper. 16 minutes total time to surface. Yeah, let's have a little look around here. It's a single fish on his own. Here you can see a good example of how the side of the boat has been ripped out or how it's collapsed. So there's some curved ribs, and this would have been the deck that was on the top. It's basically just folded away. Loads of bits and bobs everywhere. Quite a good example of a shipwreck that hasn't been tampered with or salvaged heavily. It was just too deep. 90 minutes total time to surface, and there's Molly, look, and he's waiting for me. That's why I like diving with Molly, he's funny. 140 bar, so we got loads of air left, but Molly's given me the signal, and on this dive he was the dive leader. When he called the time, we went. So looks like the anchor's already been tripped. Matt and Paul's done that. and also they've tied it in, so Molly's just going to untie it, and I'm just going to unwrap this part here, and we should just float away and collect my strobe. So me and Molly just having a bit of a conversation just to make sure it's untied, and it is. It's fine. So let's get up. The longer we stay here, for every 1 minute extra we spend here, it's 5 minutes waiting at a shallower depth. So let's go. Reminds me of a nuclear reactor, that donkey boiler inside a damaged Coke can. Now we take the slow trip back up to the surface. So 3 or 4 minutes to get down and at least 20 minutes to get back to the surface. It's going to be 45, maybe 50 minutes the time I get back out, but well worth it. So now I've swapped onto my 50% stage bottle, which helps with my decompression, and I just follow the hose all the way back down to the tank to make sure I'm breathing the right one. And there's the other two, they're still in the water. Looks like Matt enjoyed himself too. Oh, 14 minutes left to deco at 6 meters. It seems to take forever. We didn't have any tide on that. Here you can see we've come off onto our lazy line now, so we're floating away from our down line, and Richard's starting to retrieve it now. That was the Cairnside. That's the second time this year I've done it, and the visibility's been amazing both times. That had to be 30 metre vis for sure. 30 metre vis?
It was pretty special. I was at midships and I could see your torch on the donkey boiler.
That was amazing.
It was amazing, honestly. That's some of the best I've
And
seen.
all the wreckage right out the stern.
Yeah. That was a good dive.
Good dive, Paul?
Alright.
Yeah, it worked.
It filled that gap you were wanting to fill. Been on holiday, come back, start diving.
Yeah, last tech dive of the year.
That might not be the last tech dive.
For me it is.
For you. So now we're just heading back to Guernsey. Don't know why, not many people dive that wreck, but I really enjoyed it. That was the one that we're 95% sure that it's actually the Cairnside. We haven't found the bell yet, it might not even be there, but there'll be other clues. And so far the clues that we've seen all add up to be the Cairnside, so for now we're going to call it the Cairnside. Anyway, thanks for coming along with us again, I hope you enjoyed this dive, and we'll catch you on the next dive.